Well, in today's class, I'll quickly review three topics. One is trigonometry, parallelograms, and some questions related to coordinate geometry. So the first question is, a 10-foot ladder to be placed against the side of a building. The base of the ladder must be placed at an angle of 72 degrees with the level ground for secure footing. Find to the nearest inch how far the base of the ladder should be from the side of the building. So, first of all, let me imagine that there is a building. I'm not so good at drawing. Okay, there is a building. Okay, and you have to place a ladder. So, this is the ladder. Okay, this is the ladder. And we are not sure what is the horizontal distance. So let's write the details. The angle is given as 72 degrees and a 10-foot ladder. Therefore, I know that it is this is 10 feet. Now the question is, what is the or how far the ladder is to be placed from the building? So always identify what is given and what is to be computed. If you assume this as a right triangle, I see that this is vertical to the ground level and the angle is given. You can see that it is given as 72 degrees. Therefore, the angle the side next to the angle is called as adjacent side. And I hope you remember that this is called as opposite, and this one is the hypotenuse. So hypotenuse is given as 10 feet and you are asked to find adjacent. So where do you find adjacent and hypotenuse? Please remember there is nothing to do with this opposite side. Okay, so think of SOHCAHTOA. Think of SOHCAHTOA. So adjacent and hypotenuse. Adjacent and hypotenuse, where do you find means? It is CAH, which is cos. Therefore, cos, whatever the angle it may be. So cos theta or cos x degrees is cos formula. You know that it is adjacent side to the angle over hypotenuse. So here cos 72 degrees. What is adjacent means? Here we don't know. If you want, you can label them like A, B, C. So I don't know what is the value of BC. What is hypotenuse means? You can see that it is 10 units that goes to the denominator. Now cos 72. So we have to use either a TI-84 or Desmos calculator. So let me quickly jump to Desmos calculator, and here I see that first of all you have to change this one from radians to my bad. So let me go to settings. You have to click to degrees. Then let me move my figure from here to here, and it is cos 72. Cos 72. You can use your keyboard. It is a 0.30. Okay, so let's go to our whiteboard. Then it is a 0.30 BC over 10. You know how to isolate BC. So we go for inverse operation times 10. So the value of BC, 10 times 0.30, you know, here I am showing the working 0.3, which is 10 times 3 over 10. So it is equals to 3 feet. So the ladder is to be placed 3 feet from the building on the ground. Okay, I think I messed it up a little. Right, so let's go to the next page. Okay, my apologies. Okay, next question is find the measure of the indicated angle to the nearest degree. First of all, as I mentioned before, you identify the sides, angles, etc. So here the angle is missing, right? And I know that this is the opposite side. There's nothing to do with this in this question. The side next to the angle is known as adjacent side. This is, hypotenuse. Okay. It is a purely coincidence. The previous question was also the same. So, think of Sokatova, CAH, that is adjacent and hypotenuse. Therefore, the cos, let me label this one PQR. Cos angle R equals to adjacent side over hypotenuse. As I mentioned before, it is purely coincidence. We are taking again cos. Now let me write the values. So adjacent goes here, which is 32 units, and hypotenuse is 35. That goes to the denominator. Then cos angle R. In case if the angle is missing, what you have to do is this angle is to be taken to the other side. What are the values given here? You have to bring it to this side. Okay, so let me rewrite that. Cos 32 over 35. Please don't forget when you are transforming, you are moving the things angle R to the other side, and what are the fractional decimal to this side, then you have to take inverse. Okay, now let's go to Desmos again. So it is let me clear this one. Cos, I'm using my keyboard on the computer. Then exponent, do you see that a to the power of b? Click it, and again I'm using my computer keyboard. Once when you are done, use the right arrow key and then type whatever the decimal value or fraction it may be, then come out and close the parenthesis. You see that at 23.89. So it is this is equals to 23.89. Therefore, the value of the angle equals to 23.89 degrees. In case if you are asked to round it, then you can say that angle R equals to 24 degrees. Okay. Next question. Due to lack of time, just I'm rushing. I'm sorry for that. So in this question, the diagram below shows parallelogram LMNO with the diagonal LN. You know that what is a diagonal. Measure of angle M is 118 and measure of angle LNO is 22. Find the measure of NLO. Therefore, you are asked to find what is the measure of. Let me use a different color. NLO. So you are asked to find the measure of this one. In a parallelogram, opposite sides are parallel, right? Then how to figure out this one means if you can identify what is the value of this angle, then you can find it. Don't forget, in a parallelogram, the sum of adjacent angles means, consecutive angles, not adjacent angles, my apologies. Consecutive angles means this angle plus this angle, the sum of these two equals to 180 degrees. I repeat, in a parallelogram, sum of consecutive angles equals to 180 degrees. Therefore, I can say that measure of, don't forget these rules, measure, not measure, sum of consecutive angles equals to 180, which means angle M plus angle N equals to 180. Angle M, I know 118 plus N. You may say that we know the value of N. I'm sorry, it is not the value of N. A part of angle N. A part of angle N. So don't take that it is 22 for time being. Let's find what's the value of N. So 180. Now simple algebra, take away 118. Measure of N equals to, was it 62? Yes, 62 degrees. So measure of angle N equals to 62. I see that there are two parts. One is this and one is this one. Right? So I know that angle N equals to, just now I got this one as 62 degrees. It is 62 degrees. Then it is 22 degrees plus MNL. Please observe carefully. Measure of MNL means this part which is shaded in red color. Therefore, I can say that 22 plus MNL equals to 62 degrees. Take away 22. Measure of MNL, which is shaded in that color, that is 40 degrees. So observe carefully that this is 40 degrees and this is 22. That makes total 62 degrees. Okay, the one which is shaded in black, that is 22. The one which is in red, that is 40 degrees. So you know that alternate angles are equal. That means one is left side, one is right side, or maybe one is above the transversal, one is below the transversal. They're equal. Therefore, the measure of OLN equals to 40 degrees. Okay. So let me jump to the next question. Well, this question, which additional piece of information do you need to prove ABCD is a parallelogram? In fact, it is a tricky question because you study the question carefully. I mean to say the diagram part. I see that these markings are indicating that AD is parallel to BC. So AD is parallel to BC. Then AB congruent to DC. So AB means this is congruent to this one. Can I consider? The answer is if you take a parallelogram, what you have to prove is you take one pair of sides are parallel and equal. You can say that AB parallel to DC and AB equal to DC. Yes, then it's a parallelogram. Or else you take that AD parallel to BC. I see that these two are given as parallel lines. Therefore, I should see that whether they're equal or not. So AD, oh, here it is given. Therefore, if they are parallel and if they are equal, then I can say that this is a parallelogram. Therefore, I go with this one. So no calculations, just we have to look at the options. Okay. So let me clear the screen and take another question. Again, this question is related to parallelograms. The question says that what is the value of x in quadrilateral QRST? Okay, let's assume that this is also a parallelogram. Remember that first of all, observe the question. I see that QS is given as 8 and 2x, and TR is given, this is 3x and 12. Actually, in a in a parallelogram, the diagonals bisect. Bisection means that makes into two equal halves. Therefore, this piece equal to this one, which is, let's say, O is at the center. You write the condition in a parallelogram. Diagonals bisect each other. Therefore, diagonals bisect each other means I would say that TO, let me write that TO equals to OR, which means this piece equals to this one. Bisection means two equal halves. The other diagonal, if you take QS, QO equals to OS. Now just plug in these values. What is TO means 3x, and what is OR, that is 12. And next, what is QO? QO means please see that this one, which is 8, equals to OS means it is 2x. You know how to isolate the variable. Division by 2 on both these sides. The value of x equals to 4. Let's use the other side also. The other side, division by 3, so that x is isolated. 12 over 3, that gives me 4. I see that the value of x is 4 in both the cases. Therefore, my solution is correct. And the question is, what is the value of x? You have to look at the question and make sure that you are finding the value of x. Okay, so this is option D. Okay, let's go to the next question really quick. Okay, in this question, which reason can be used to conclude DFGH is a parallelogram? So let's look at the markings. The markings shows that DF equals to GH, double strokes, and the other pair of sides DH equals to FG. So there are two pairs of congruent opposite angles. No, because the sides are marked equal or congruent. The diagonals, come on, I don't see any diagonals here. There are two pairs of congruent opposite sides. Yes, I see that. Please look at the marking. This side equals to this side. Therefore, one pair of sides are equal. And look at these markings. Here I see that these markings are stating that these two sides are also equal. Therefore, I'll go with option C. There are two pairs of congruent opposite sides. Any questions? Okay, let me minimize this one. Okay, right. The next one is what are the values? 2 points to be remembered. Let it be a parallelogram, square, rectangle, rhombus. The rule is the same. That is, in a parallelogram, opposite angles are equal. You take rhombus, you take a square, you take a rectangle. Opposite angles are equal. This is rule number one. So opposite angles are equal means I would say that angle A equals to angle C. Please see that these two angles are equal. So angle A equals to C means 3x equals to 120 degrees. You know how to isolate x, division by 3, x equals to 40. What the question says? Find what are the values of variables. Okay. Next, point number 2. Here I am writing. Second point is, remember, you take a rhombus, you take a rectangle, you take a parallelogram. In these all, the sum of consecutive angles equals to 180. Therefore, let me write that in a parallelogram, the sum of consecutive angles is 180. Therefore, it is 2i plus 120 degrees equals to 180. Here are notes simple algebra. Take away 120, balance the equation by taking negative 120 on the other side. 180 take away 120, you get 60. So 2y is 60, then division by 2, then you get that y equals to 30 degrees. So the value of x is 40 and the value of y equals to 30 degrees. That's it. Any questions? The next question is, prove that A negative 2 negative 2, B 5 negative 1, C 1 2. This one is an isosceles right triangle. See, I'm drawing a freehand sketch. This one may not represent the triangle on the coordinate plane. Or else if you are, okay, let me try coordinate plane and I see that A is negative 2, negative 2 means that one must be in the 1, 2, 3, third quadrant. Okay. And B is 5, x value is positive. Okay, so let me mark first of all. Here it should be A because both are negative. B is x is 5, so it should be here. And y is negative 1, so it should be somewhere here. This is going to be, and C is 1, 2. So just I marked 3 points and let me join them. Okay. So the question says that is this representing? I'm sorry, the diagram is horrible. Well, A is negative 2, negative 2. B is 5, comma, negative 1. C is 1, comma 2. Right. Now you have to prove that this is isosceles. Please remember isosceles means two sides are equal. Two sides are equal. Right triangle. Right triangle means right angle means 90 degrees. Okay. Therefore, let me find what is the length of AB. Don't forget you have to use the distance formula. So x2 subtract x1 whole square plus y2 subtract y1 whole square. Everything is under the square root. So x1 y1 x2 y2. Now let's plug in these values. x2 is 5, subtract, what is x1 means, that is negative 2, then whole square plus y2, it's negative 1, subtract y1 is negative 2. So I'm using color codes so that you can understand better. So a square. So especially if there are negative values, you have to be utmost careful. So negative of negative, that gives me positive. So it is 5 plus 2 whole square. 5 plus 2 gives me 7 square. Next, here negative of negative, negative 1, negative of negative, positive 2. Please notice that these two are having different signs. So we subtract, then we'll end up with the positive 1 square. My bad, I forgot to keep the square root symbol here. So 7 square gives me 49, and this one is 1. So I get that it is square root 50 unit. Let me not write here this value, otherwise I may need more space, so it is negative. I mean square root of 50. You can leave it like that. Next, coming to the second one. So just now I found the value of AB as square root of 50. So this is going to be square root of 50. And BC. So BC, let me take this as maybe x3, y3. You can take x1, y1, whatever the way you want. Let me figure out what's the value of BC. Don't forget, every time you are expected to write this one, which is the formula. So here, let me paste the formula, the distance formula. Okay. So now what is the length of BC means? It is 1 minus 5. You have to plug in these values. 1 minus 5 square. Y2 is negative 1. Subtract 2 square under the square root. 1 minus 5. Think of integers. You should get negative 4. Negative 1, negative 2. I see that same signs. Therefore, we have to add them. Negative 3 square. Again, negative 3 square is not equals to negative 9. Negative 3 whole square, negative 3 times negative 3, that gives me positive 9. Negative 4 square, it is negative 4 times negative 4, that gives me positive 16. So 16 plus 9, square root of 25. I know that square root of 25 equals to 5. Therefore, this is equals to 5. This is equals to 5. And then you have to figure out what is the length of AC. Now let me compute here. Length of AC equals to, let me write the formula, which is x2 subtract x1 whole square. Now this time we are taking these 2 points. A and C. Then plug in these values. It is 1 subtract negative 2. I'm using a different color so that you can understand better. 1 minus negative 2 square. Then y2 is 2 subtract negative 2. Too many negative signs. So let me take the square root symbol, then negative of negative, you get positive, then 2, negative of negative, positive 2 square. So 1 plus 2, 3 square. 2 plus 2, 4 square. 3 square gives me 9. 4 square gives me 16. You can see that there's a big smile on my face because 9 plus 16, that gives me square root of 25, that is equals to 5. So please notice that two of these sides are equal. Therefore, this is an isosceles triangle. Then how can you prove that it is a right triangle? Means if the slope of two lines is -1. Again, I'm repeating, I don't have enough space, so I'll do one thing. Let me move this one to a little this side. Okay, so you take the slope. Please remember, slope equals to x2 subtract x1. This one should go to the denominator, and y2 subtract y1 goes to the numerator. This is the formula. Rate of change or slope y2 subtract y1 or x2 subtract x1. Why I copied x first means because in alphabetical order, some students may get confused to take the numerator as the difference of x. That's the reason. So here, find the slope of a, b. Next, find the slope of BC. Find the slope of AC. You'll see that the product of, please multiply and see. When you multiply AB times BC equals to -1, please remember, if the product is -1, then they are perpendicular to each other. Suppose if you are not getting, try multiplying BC times AC. I repeat, you find the slope of BC, find the slope of AC, then you multiply them and you see whether the product is equals to -1 or not. If not, at the end you find the product of AB to AC. Please remember, find the slope of AB, find the slope of AC, and find their slopes and multiply them and check. And it could be any one of them. You will see that the product is equals to, the product of slopes equals to -1. So please remember, if the product of slopes equals to -1, then they are perpendicular. Okay, so this part I'm leaving it to you. Okay, that's it from me for today's class. Don't go away.